Freeman, thank you so much for joining us tonight to share your insights and lessons. As I mentioned when we spoke the other day, Wilson will lead the conversation, and I might just pitch in from time to time with a question. So let me hand it over to Wilson.
Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to chat with us. So just to start, can you give us a snapshot of the company right before the crisis started?
Yes, thank you, Douglas. Thank you, Wilson. My name is Freeman Shen. I'm the founder and CEO of WM Motor. We are a 4-year, 5-year company focused on the smart connected electric vehicles. Before the coronavirus thing in China, we actually operate in almost 80 cities with our stores in China. Our headquarters in Shanghai, and then our R&D center, it's in Shanghai and Chengdu. We have factory in Wenzhou, Zhejiang Province. We also had a new factory in Hubei Province. As I said, we have operate stores in over 80 cities all over China. As you know, electric vehicle business, it's a very long supply chain business. And then we start deliver a vehicle to our customer at the end of 2018. We are so far had over 23 users all over China, basically cover 93% of the Chinese cities. That's right before we have this coronavirus things.
Very good. So now can you walk us through a timeline of your responses to the virus, starting with pretty early in the process when just the first few cases were starting to appear?
Oh, yes. As I said, we are connect smart car electric vehicles, and then we have our R&D centers and factories in major cities in China, and we have software engineers, we have hardware engineers, we have quality engineers, and we have salespeople, and then all over China basically. And in the earlier, as a matter of fact, in the earlier January 2020, we have a big event in Wuhan, Hubei Province. We call the annual appreciation gathering for the medias who have been supporting us in the last few years. And then we have first car roll off one of our factories in Huanggang, Hubei Province also. And then we didn't know anything at that time. I still remember that was January 8th and 9th in Hubei. And then we have more than 200 employees in that province. Things seems okay. And then we also had quite a few important suppliers came from Hubei Province. Some of them from Wuhan, some is the other city in Hubei Province, and they came to visit our R&D center in Chengdu, Sichuan Province also. You know, we work very closely. Nobody wear mask, and nobody knew actually what's going on until in the middle of January. You know, although the government official has not made announcement, but we feel something strange. So we, before other companies start preparing the office close in Shanghai, Chengdu, Beijing, we have about also a software team in Beijing. We also prepared to shut down our factory. The Wenzhou factory has been production in over a year. The Huanggang, it's almost ready to production, but we basically shut down everything. And we also start closing our stores. Most of our store is a franchise dealer, but we also had some direct management store. So we start closing the store because we didn't know what's going on, and we just want to be cautious. And then we also, you know, although we are a very young company, but we have over 3,000 suppliers, all kinds of suppliers, components, software, technology partners. And we also start talking to our supply chain, make sure they are aware of this something going on, because simply we have a lot of operation in Hubei, so we probably know something earlier or better than the other guys. On the other hand, we start. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I just wanted to know if initially, for how long did you think that you will have to close? Because you had some idea, but you didn't have any kind of government confirmation at the time. You didn't know exactly what was the virus. So how long did you how did you expect the situation to develop at the time?
Yeah, you know, we have no idea. What happened is the Chinese New Year start January 24th. Typically, we have 10 days vacation, so we just close like 1 week earlier than normal. So we think probably that's a 2-3 weeks thing, you know. And then you know, just let the employee go home, visit their family. They just have extra 1 week or something like that. On the other hand, the company start, you know, as you know, in China, always the resources is limited, you know, when things happen. So we start buying some stock, including the personal protective equipment. For example, I still remember in January, we bought about 200,000 face masks, all kind of them. Some of them is we call N95, which is medical or surgical use. Most of them it's the disposable face mask. And then we also bought some high tech, we call it big screen infrared thermometers. It's a big screen, and when people walk through, they recognize your face and showing the body temperature. It's quite efficient. So all the our office and the factory, although it's closed, but we start shipping these things. At that time, it's not bad. Not bad if at that time if you buy things and shipping things. Until probably Chinese New Year, I think the second day of Chinese New Year or something, the logistics become a challenge, and start getting difficult to buy the face mask. And obviously we bought a lot of sanitizer to make sure that when we think it was 2-3 weeks, when you open it, you need to clean the factory, clean the office, clean, you know, the hands or something. So, you know, we're glad that we do a little bit faster than others, and make sure that our employee had well prepared in case something happened. So I think that's the, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
go ahead.
you know, that's the earlier stage. We're, and then the things seems out of control, and we were prepared. But on the other hand, we were thinking our partners, our employees, and obviously our users. We have over 22,000 car owners, WM motor car owners. We actually start donate things. We donate the face mask because we seem to have more than what we need. And then we donate some vehicles because at that time, the medical doctors and the government officials, a lot of people start trying to helping people. It's better always had vehicles, right? Private vehicles, not sitting in the bus. So we actually provide about 130 WM vehicle for free, and let them to using them mainly in Huanggang. Unfortunately, Huanggang is in Hubei Province. They have more coronavirus cases other than Wuhan. You know, if you count it, obviously Wuhan, the #1 city with lost so many cases, and #2 it's Huanggang cities. And outside Hubei Province, the factory we have, Wenzhou is the has most cases at that time, also. So we have to first of all put our employee in these two cities. But on the other hand, we're trying to see if we can do something to support the local government. And then we also discuss with our supplier. Some of them aware of that. Some probably still thinking it's just a normal flu, you know, not to worry. And then we start, because again, we have a lot of people in Hubei. We know probably more information than the others. As you know, the social media, it's very difficult to trust them these days, just like what's happening in the US, I guess. You know, there's so many news throw around with the social media, so it's sometimes better to get information from your people. We're also offering some special help to medical personnel who's working in all the hospital, we actually also understand that a lot of farmers in the Hubei province become really big troubles because the Chinese New Year is a big season for them to selling their, for example, fruits, their products, but nobody buying things. I mean, logistic wise, even blocked it. So we say, okay, let's see if we can help them. We actually had trying to attract the young people so they can be part of our a small activity with the beautiful mask they on. They can make a smile on that, and they will donate the money to the farmers if one young people join our activities. Just example. And the other hand, we actually sending, because again, every single vehicle we build is a connected smart car. We have a notice pushed to our users. First of all, obviously give the information of what's going on. And then also this encourage to go out. Some of our competition actually provide a free charging service. We actually, on the other hand, we don't think you should encourage people to go out to charge their electric vehicle for free because you don't want people to go too often outside, right? So we actually disencourage them, saying, you probably should not go out if not necessary. On the other hand, we also remind them that if you stay at home more than a few weeks, you need to find a way to jumpstart your vehicles. Electric vehicle had a battery, but on the other hand, if you don't drive them, let's say 4 weeks, the battery will probably dead. And then we also give them some information how to clean the vehicle. If you, for whatever reason, you drive your vehicle to some hospital area or some area that you don't feel comfortable, you need to find a way to clean them. And we push the information to their mobile phone or the big screen in their vehicle if they really want to go out. So those are.
And at this point, the pandemic was there was already restrictions in travel inside the Wuhan province, and big measures were already taken by the government by the time you were taking these measures.
Exactly. The Chinese government actually start public a lot of information right before, 2 days right before Chinese New Year, January 25th, I believe, and then 1 week after that become so many informations. So we, since we are certain that the pandemic is going on now, epidemic, and then we say, okay, let's do something to first of all educate our user how to handle that, and then obviously our employee know what's going on, and then trying to see if we can support, donate some vehicles, donate some masks, and then support the farmers and then medical personnel. Yeah, that's exactly right.
When you you mentioned earlier that you had ordered masks and so forth as soon as you were alert to the problem, but then once it became official, you said that it became more difficult to order things like masks and so forth. And then you just mentioned about helping the farmers and others, which is terrific. Was there any kind of centralized, shared communication system so that not everybody was scrambling for masks and how to help and all the rest of that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. What happened is the Chinese government support media start publish the information on hourly, basically on hourly basis. On the other hand, there's so many, rumors. I don't know. Probably I should not call everything is rumor, but there's so many different news on the social media, so people are very confused. And then the panic was people short of masks, so everyone trying to order the mask. And then at that time, the logistic become issues. So even you did order something and you cannot get it shipped. On the other hand, the government start also concerning. So the big mask producer was basically occupied by the government orders. So government said, we order everything you have, and then we ship it to to the hospital first. So at that time, the N95, the surgical, the medical level mask was almost impossible to get. Typically, you can get some disposable mask. But again, the logistic was an issue. And then, we had a little bit better situation because we always are shipping cars, shipping components. So we know how to work with some of the logistic companies. So that's why first of all, we ship all the masks to the office we have covering a lot of cities in China and some of the stores. On the other hand, we ship the mask to Wenzhou, to Huanggang government as a donation, because we don't think we need the 200,000 during, at the time we think it's a couple of weeks thing. We don't need 200,000 masks during this couple of weeks.
Well, and then the Chinese New Year holiday got extended by the government. What happened then in your timeline at this point where you know that the government is giving an extra week?
Yeah, what happened is it seems the government said extra week. We start worried that I think we start thinking that probably more than 1 week. And then we say, okay, let's do a little bit long-term actions to see. At that time we think we are, at least from our employee perspective, our user, our supplier, we think we are fine because we do a lot of things right before the epidemic spread out everywhere. On the other hand, we said, what will happen if these things continue for a while? And then we need to make sure that our company survive, right? You don't want a company just shut down always 3 months without any business. So we say, okay, what we should do, it's let's do something, make sure that, first of all, the safety of the employee and the company. On the other hand, can we do something, can we work efficiently from home? So we do a few things. Again, different government, local government sometimes had different suggestions. For example, Huanggang and Wenzhou had a much more serious situation. So the government had, first of all, you cannot go out, actually. The factory closed. We have 2 security guards in the front gate. That's all. You don't let anybody in and out. So we follow government instructions, make sure people don't go outside. We also, our IT team develop daily health check-in system, very small software, very useful. So they remind every single employee in the morning that you answer a few questions. Do you have a symptom? Do you have a chance to meet somebody who probably had the COVID-19 thing? And are you staying at home, or you actually outside the city from your home, and then you need to travel back to somewhere? So something like that. So a daily health check, remind the people all the time that you need to be careful. And then of course, if you have something, our HR department will try to help you. We do have a few employees had a fever. Fortunately, after careful check with the hospital, they are fine. They're just normal fever, not the coronavirus or COVID-19. And then we clean all the office, our factory on a regular basis. And on the other hand, the government, just for Douglas' question, the government starts sending a lot of questionnaire from different channels. For example, we got the questionnaire from a dealers association, which joined by all the car sales dealers. We have also asked by the China Auto Manufacturing Association to update the situation. We also give them a lot of suggestions. For example, again, the auto industry, it's a very long supply chain, probably the longest supply chain industry you ever can imagine of. It's relatively easy to have a hard stop because the government give a very hard stop for all the business, but it's very challenging to restart. So we start suggesting the more we should do for restart. It's not so easy. And then the central government in China actually suggests the local government to give them they call the whitelisting. Basically, the whitelisting, they list the company with the employee number, revenues, the importance to the coronavirus epidemic, meaning that if you are a medicine company who had a chance to develop some vaccine for the coronavirus, you will list probably number 1 or something like that. We will get listed because again, if we have trouble, we're going to bring the trouble to 3,000 employees and their family, and then supply chain. We have again 1,000 supply chain. So we've got listing not because our business connected to this COVID-19, but simply we have supporting so many employment and then taxation and then families. When you get listing in this wide listing and the banks, they have a state-owned bank came to you. They were trying to give you a loan with a very low interest. Some of them can as low as like 1.5%. They are still a commercial loan, but they just be more proactively give you a loan with a very low interest. I think that's they're not just saying, oh yeah, we just give you free money. That's a different story. They just give us the loan. Simply, we are the private-owned company. We are not the state-owned company. So probably to some state-owned company, they give much more easy way to loan, but we are just private-owned. And then we also had a distant working system. Fortunately, when we found the company early 2015, the major member of the founding team was spread out everywhere in China, with their families. So at that time when the founding company, it's difficult for me to move everyone to Shanghai because it means either they have to move their family or they have to walk away their family. Walk away, it's not a good thing, we believe. So from day one, we develop a working system online, meaning that as long as you have a mobile phone, you don't need a computer. You can use the mobile phone to communicate with your colleagues. Excuse me. You can use the mobile phone to approve the expensive report, submit expense report, apply for travel, those kind of things. I mean, 100%. You just need a mobile phone. You can have the mobile phone to have a video conference. We have a Zoom system from a very early day, video, audio, and then we have we call the WeChat for Work, who can help you to work with your colleague. Doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have a mobile phone with the signals, with the connections. So so this time we're fine from a working perspective. People stay at home, but they can work, start, prepare the plan, and see what we can do. We also had a chance to.
One question before you continue.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 questions. One is when you applied to get whitelisted by the government, did you apply also as a group with your suppliers, or did every supplier had to apply on their own? And if there was any case of a supplier that didn't get into this list?
Oh, this only they only allow the company apply. You cannot go with the supplier. So our supplier, if they get approval by the local government, believe they are very important to the local economies, they will get it also. So just company by company.
I see. And there was no case of any supplier being denied the request of.
There's some, because again, they're ranking them. The name list, they have some limits there. I think in Shanghai they got 2 times. Every time they got about 20 companies, so it's about 50-40 in Shanghai. And they ranking them based on the again the employee number, taxation, how important to the economies.
Yeah. And was any of them really important to the supply chain, or how do you get around this obstacle? Oh,
yes, of course. We have a very important the electric powertrain supplier based in Hubei Province. They got shut down. Their production has not started until today. I think they will start the end of March. Extremely challenged when we restart our production. So we have to get a logistic company when they get the product and then getting a lot of checking before they can move to our factory in Wenzhou. But I suspect that they also got their whitelisting. The issue is they have their supplier. If their supplier is not ready, first of all, secondary, since they are based in Hubei province, a lot of their employee was not allowed to back to their location. Some of their employees not from Hubei, but they cannot travel there. So for them, it's very challenging to back to the production. They just can ship what they have in stock to the company like us. And then we have to pay cash upfront, make sure that they survive. We don't want they have troubles, right?
Yeah, so you basically operated with whatever your suppliers had on stock at the time, and,
Exactly.
and wait until they get back on their feet.
Yeah,
So
and on the top of that, you actually have to pay better because you want to make sure your supply survive, right? Because if somebody had trouble, they are not back to working. They still need to pay their employee rent and those kind of things, and then they interrupt bankruptcy situation. You were hurting us. So you have a different payment term in their cases then.
I see. So once you got your supply chain more or less figured out, when did a production restart? When did employees go back? Factory employees went back to the factories.
Yes, we depends where you are actually. If you're in Hubei province, we just get notice from government last week that the Hubei operation will be back to normal end of March. The Wenzhou factory was back to normal end of February. Not in the full capacity though, because again we have some employee have not been able to back to where they work, which is Wenzhou in these cases. And then we have a supplier not ready 100% deliver the product. That's one thing. Another thing is our sales network is cover about 80 cities in China. About half of them start the working, another half not yet.
And that's an interesting point. The government or the local governments give you the okay to go back. Do you know what the criteria were that they used? What made them say yes, okay, versus not okay?
Yeah, good question. Typically, they were watching the COVID-19 numbers in their area. How many still in hospital? How many cure and how many die? So they have those kind of information published. Some cities it's pretty serious in the beginning, like Wenzhou. They are ranking #1 outside Hubei, but then things getting much better, and they will feel okay. In this city, seems things getting under control now. Secondary, they actually ask you to submit the application with a lot of questions. How many employees stay in the city during the Chinese New Year? How many employees was outside the city, in their city? And out of those cities from another town, are they in Hubei or some other city? So
sure.
To answer this question, they actually send people came to your office or factory to check. For example, our system is, become a car guy. Typically, it's also always very disciplined, right? When you produce vehicles, you need to be disciplined. So the factory we manage, it's very well managed. We have a big screen, the infrared red thermometers. We have people make sure that every employee checking them, wash their hand before they go back to our factory. So after they check, they think it's well managed, this company, so they allow us to start it.
So it's really not that long a list of criteria. It's just some basic.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very basic. It's very basic.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think they also consider how important the company to the local economies. I think the local Chinese government is always business friendly. They understand that if they keep this business closed, they were not going to collect a lot of taxes in a few months. They have no
Well, there's that,
revenue
and
income.
there's also the point that you made earlier that if it's safe, reasonably safe, and you're the local government, you'd rather have people back at work and earning money than having to make loans.
Exactly, exactly. I think the U.S. can learn a lot from this because the Chinese government seems in the beginning they're not sure what's this going on, and then suddenly there's a lot of panic, and then they go the extreme, the other side, hard stop. I think that's necessary at that time because people talking about rumors and hard stop, and then they realize the hard stop, it's okay, but you need to find a way to bring back the business. So if the U.S. government can learn from them, you probably should prepare this both will at the same time. When you had a stop, but you need to understand how bad it's going to back to the normal. It's very difficult to keep balance. It's easy to say, right? But it's very difficult. You want to have zero defective. On the other hand, it's almost impossible if you want to make the business survive and still growing.
Exactly. So at this point of your experience, most of workers, office workers, were still working remotely, right?
Exactly. Depends. The issue for our business is this why it's very challenging for us. The issue for us, we have both ends had a big group of the partners. On the supply side, we have thousands of suppliers we need to take care. So we can make the product physically. On the other hand, we have franchise covering over China. Those franchise, most of them, they have their employee to pay. They also have the rent to pay. Typically, they have a pretty high rent because they are always in the expensive central places. So they're easy for them to sell car, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to do both. And then both sides need to be offline. You cannot do online, right? You have to your supply make physical goods for you. And then you need somebody selling car, deliver cars. We actually, this crisis pushed us to do as much as possible online. And then we try everything online during this crisis. Our sales marketing team people, they work at home. So we have a lot of online activity going on. We have the online broadcasting showing the vehicles. We have two type vehicles, EX6, EX5 in the market. And then we also had a lot of small broadcast activity showing people how to drive electric vehicle, how smart the vehicle we have. We have so many functions, so you can spend all time on that. We also trying to, we actually invented, we call it touchless deliver a car. So if a user, if you want a customer, they can go to online, watch our video, watch the live broadcasting, understand our product, they can place order. And then we can deliver a vehicle to your door front, putting the car in a parking space you identify. And then we're sending a code to you. You can use the code to open the car and then drive and then return to any place you want and send the location back to us because it's all connected. Software-wise, online-wise, it's doable. You don't need to shake hands with any people from us. You just test drive and you can even place the full payment and then we prepare the license plates, the charging station installation, everything for you, and then send a car with the license plate to you and parking any place you want, and you just take the car without touch anybody. It seems okay for this coronavirus 19 pandemic. Now, but on the other hand, still most of people were willing to do some of the activities offline. You almost impossible to convince everyone to online for the vehicle purchase. So that's a challenge for us. We have been back to work more than 1 month now, but not everybody is ready offline to helping our customer yet, because it really depends on where you are and really depends which partner we're talking about.
How long did you take to develop from the idea to the execution, the touchless service that you were talking about?
Oh, for us, it's like only 1 week because there's always in our business. It's interesting. In China, the online activity is developed so advanced, even advanced most of other countries, including US. However, in our business, people still debating. When we found the company in 2015, I have a big team. An employee came from internet business. They are not in the auto industry before. So we are very innovative. We think, first of all, for example, our vehicle is connected 100%. It's smart. When we call smart, it's because it's connected 100 always. And then the computer will use the data to help the user to enjoy the driving experience. On the other hand, we're always thinking, can we do the whole car delivery purchasing online? Simply, it's not so easy to do 100%. We still had a doubt if it's possible, but this crisis actually pushing us to have to do 100% online because you have no way, no store were allowed to open. And then we were back to work, suppose, but we only can do it from home. And then how we been able to let our employee understand our vehicle. By the way, we have about 700,000 fans or followers in our website. We know these people's contact information, their locations. We have been very actively interactive with them, trying to convert them from a fan into our user. And then in the past, we're still thinking part of the process need to be offline. And this crisis actually give us opportunity to push us to think, can we do everything online? And if we cannot do everything online, at least some will be touchless. So the customer will not be worried that they need to make some changes and then talking with them and then understand the car and then pay for the car and then get the license plate, those kind of things. People still worry about the too many touch and then might have a chance to get defected, right?
I see. So what you have now of you mentioned the two other models that you were showing in kind of a virtual showroom as well to give people the idea of how the cars were like. So were these two cars new? They launched it or during this ramp up, or is just models that you already have?
That's a good question. Yes, we actually launched the EX5 end of 2018. And then the whole 2019 was the first year for EX5. We're the #1 sales in our sector. And then at the end of 2019, we launched EX6. The plan was we have the main product for the whole 2020 will be EX6 Plus, because we launched the end of 19. So in the early 2020, getting more recognized by the user, and then we have more sales. Obviously, this is not happening because the first quarter has gone. As a matter of fact, in April 20, suppose April 22nd, there's a Beijing Auto Show, which is the largest auto show in the world. We are showing our two more new cars. That was canceled because that auto show typically will attract millions visitors. It was canceled. So for the product launching, it's a disaster for us because we have to change everything. And then, we're trying to show everything online. Again, we hope that we can still attract more people's attention. And then people willing to look in our car in VR, via VR, and then place order online. We just don't know yet because seems it's difficult to say right now.
So on that same note, how have you changed your goals and your both financial and corporate for the year now that you're through the first big part of the crisis?
Yes, we actually haven't changed that yet because we have a different plan B. We have a plan B. Our finance team is very sophisticated. to dealing with this kind of thing. The reason we don't adjust the financial target yet, because if you looking back the in the history, this kind of virus, once it finished, there's possibility the people go out and want to buy a family car. They probably will feel uncomfortable to go to the public transportation, buses, subway. And then, as a matter of fact, in Shanghai, in the last couple of weeks, the traffic jam is coming back. People say it's kind of dangerous because there's a lot of there are a lot of new car drivers on the road because they probably have license plates. They never drive before. They use subway, they use bus, but now they feel uncomfortable, start driving cars. So you'll be a little bit careful. You see the traffic jam back, and a lot of new drivers there. But anyway, in our industry, the people still believe after the COVID-19, there probably a peak season that people buying a car, and then it will probably, hopefully, make up what we lost in the first quarter and second quarter.
Has there been any discussion, have you had any discussion with other car people about how to have that car show virtually?
Yes. Well, you know, I have been in this industry for over 20 years. I know a lot of people like in Geely, Volvo, General Motors, Ford. We talk constantly. Yes, actually, one of our competition launched a car, a new car, a couple of weeks ago, only online. And then Cadillac launched a new model with a KOL, also online. And then we share a little bit our experience. I think in the next couple of months, if anybody want to launch a new vehicle, they have to do online. I don't think the government still allow you to do an offline big gathering. In today, like in big cities like Shanghai, Beijing, if you go to downtown, it looks normal now. You can go to restaurants, that's fine, but you don't want to put 100 people in the same place for launching activity. I think the local government will now approve and will not allow you because they want the, I mean, the things go in the right direction, but you don't want to screw them in this period of time, right?
Right.
Something that we also spoke a little bit is about the changes in the business itself and how it is conducted when everything moves online. One of the problems is always how to keep employees motivated and productive. So what did you do to keep them engaged?
Yes, it's first of all, we give the you know, as a car company, the program management, it's one of the key know-how for us. And then since from day one, our employees spread out everywhere, and then we have a very sophisticated online program management tool to make sure every employee working the stats. On the other hand, I'm also very interested in watching my kids. You know, I have 2 kids. They have been staying at home last 2 months doing the distant learning thing. I think for them it's a little bit challenge because typically the distant learning, they also using the Zoom, for example, they also give you a lot of homework. But typically you can see, at least from a car guy perspective, it's not that systematically. So the kids will try to finish something very quickly and then go to eat something, watch a movie, and then something. It at least for my kids seems it's out of control. But for us, seems okay because we are quite used to this kind of different location, and then people looking at different gates in the gates review in the program management team, and then we still can always have a conference call, video conference, audio conference, progress review, and not that bad. The only thing is you cannot actively work with your supplier offline. You cannot send your colleague people to your supplier, talking with them, to looking how things going. On the other hand, the store, most of store start open now, our store, but on the other hand, you didn't see enough people come to visit you offline yet. So we don't know the conversion rate. Typically online, again, we do a lot of broadcasting things. The conversion rate for the online become sales is quite relatively low.
So did your employees who were working virtually discuss their kids with one another?
Yes, of course. I think so far it's okay, because again, if it's very normal in China, both parents need to work. So if the kids stay at home, it's going to be an issue for them. But again, we are very flexible. We have a tool. It's not, since everyone, it's not going to trouble anyway. So if you come to office, it's fine. If you stay at home using the online or distant working tools, it's also fine if you want to take care of the kids.
Okay, good. How did you manage to keep of a corporate culture as well alive during these times?
Oh, I think we are actually from day one, we are saying the safety for employee, for our partners, both supplier and our franchise partner are extremely important. Safety first, and then if you find a way to protect the safety for employee, and then we obviously encourage you work with us for the business perspective, make sure the business still survive and had the potential to growing back to normal once everything's gone. On the other hand, this is the company is very young. We are not a traditional car company. We actually encourage people to do more online as much as we can, as long as our customer and our user agree. So we are very open. We are trying to do everything online if possible from day one. So this crisis will hit us, but on the other hand, probably will push us to think more online. Anything we can do, it's more efficient, and then it's probably easier from a different location. Anyway, our employee in almost 7 cities or 8 cities. We probably will have a chance to reduce our travel. In the past, the travel expenses and the travel time is extremely high for this company. Sometimes we need to go many places, and then now I haven't been traveling outside Shanghai for the last 2.5 months, which is unusual. Probably in the last 10 years or something.
What do you wish that you had done better in response to this crisis?
Well, I wish we knew it is not just 2 weeks things; it's 2 months, 3 months things. So we probably will prepare better, and then we can support the people in Hubei Province, and then in Wenzhou. And also my suggestion, also the lesson learned in at least a couple months, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, we are all thinking, what's going on, how we handle this COVID-19, and we almost forgot the business part of that until the government still came to do this survey thing. And then we'll get a chance for this wide listing, and then we do it right away. And then we start bring the submit the suggestion back to the government, and we start thinking how we're going to put the business back to normal. And then we start thinking, how we support our supplier. We have to pay them better, make sure they survive. We're also trying to thinking how we support our dealership, and we take out the KPI. Typically every month we measure them, customer satisfaction, deliveries, and those kinds of things we all take out, because you have no way to ask them to do that. So I think for us, from day one, we have a 2-wheel strategy. What we mean, it's one wheel is the safety for our employee and our partners. Another wheel is we make sure everyone survive. And then when the market go in the right direction, we can take the opportunity to survive and grow our business. So both things, in at least we seems focus on the first one in the early 3 weeks, and later on we figure out business is also important.
Right. What would be your advice to small and medium-sized business in the U.S. and elsewhere in the world that are just entering now this phase and might get to a hard stop soon?
Yeah, I think at least a few of them. But first of all, if you have some opportunity to do something online, try the best to do online. It's good for your employee and probably good for your customer also. And secondly, obviously, cash is the king, because there's some, for example, I think the U.S. even more difficult. In China, the government encouraged the state-owned property to waive the rent for a couple months. But again, most of the property is not owned by the government. So if it's owned by the private business, they probably would not interested in do that because they have something. I mean, they have somebody to pay, right? And then, but again, cash is so important. Find a way, if you have the credit line, get the cash from the bank or from somebody, and then make sure you survive. And then I think from a safety perspective, probably will, the business need to understand what's the real official channel, the accurate news. I think US probably will have facing the similar situation. There's so many rumors, and then social media, and then some of it's correct, some of it's not. Who knows? And then we need to figure out the real information channel, and then make sure safety in your employee, and then we need to make sure both safety of the people and the safety of the business. You don't want to avoid dying from the COVID-19, but die from the business crash, right?
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much.